Good morning. Can I start the show like that?
It's over and done, but the heartache lives on inside.
Well, we're back with another episode of Dear Showrunners. I'm your girl, Jo.
I'm Em.
And this week, Power has decided to take a break, so I guess we're taking a break. I mean, because I was up here watching TV trying to get the on-demand, and it wasn't quite working. I'm like, really?
You know, the funny thing is, I went to click, and, like, somebody was, you know, like, I kind of went, like, at the end, so they was, like, starting to clean up and stuff, and the lady was like, why didn't nobody tell me Power wasn't coming on? I was just like, wait a minute, Power not coming on? So that's why when I came on, I was like, wait, Power not coming on? So, yeah.
And the thing about it was, I remember them saying that last week, like, that we'll see them in 2 weeks, but I never put
Yeah, I didn't even remember that, so here we go.
Know.
Anyways, but that was good that it didn't start.
It leaves us open for a whole episode of Queen Sugar.
Oh, gotta stop crying and talk about the show.
Okay, can I just say that I watched it twice and I cried twice on both episodes?
It's just, I don't know. Like, it's just so, it's first of all, amazing acting going on. Like,
amazing directing.
Oh my God, the directing, the camera shots, the close-ups, the music, just the blackness, the melon. I'm loving everything. Like, I'm like totally here for the show.
Okay, so I'm going to back up because I feel like we jumped right in. If you're new, if this is your first time listening to us, this is a show where we talk about TV.
And more TV.
So it's just two friends sitting at home on a couch talking
literally
about...
right now. Sitting at home on a couch. It's so funny. Okay, sorry. Very literal.
Yes, talking about what we're watching and how we feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
So this week premiered Queen Sugar.
Mm-hmm. Highly anticipated.
Highly already renewed for a second series.
Season 2.
Queen Sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to jump right in.
Okay, let's do it. Oprah got one, that's for sure.
Oh, she definitely got
She
one.
has one. Finally. I mean, honestly, before we even go into the episode, I just want to say, like, I'm not surprised that Queen Sugar is on OWN. I always thought, like, this is what OWN was going to be about when she said she was about to start doing original series. And, like, I'm not going to say, like, OWN has bad series on there because, like, the Have and Have-Nots, we get there later because I watched.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, because my mom, like, I went to my mom's house to watch the first episode, so she was finishing the Have and Have-Nots, so... I'm not even, we just gonna wait. I don't even want to start that. Like, don't start. But no, like, it's just the format of certain shows. I can't get into it. And it kind of throws me off. It kind of makes me feel like, I don't know. It just kind of threw me off. But this show, it just feels different. It's directed different. It feels like it's like a movie. To me, this is more along the lines of what other major networks are doing with their TV shows. Like with the ABC. Like, to me, now she can compete with the big dogs.
Oh, she's definitely competing with
she's there.
Sugar.
Like, she's there.
Because I'm totally in. I don't think I've ever...
The first episode.
First of all, I don't think I've ever anticipated a show this much to have it come on and not disappoint.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like, I think it's just the fact that we knew the show was coming. You know, she's been campaigning the heck out of it. It's been so talked about. But then it's like to get it, to finally have it, and for it to be everything you expect it to be.
Everything
and
that I
so
wanted
much
to be.
more. Like, it was... It was just a lot. Like, it was an experience. I'm ready for this experience.
So shout out to Oprah.
Yep.
Shout out to Ava. Shout out to the directorial cast. I believe the directors are all women.
Oh,
shout
that's
out
crazy.
again.
Like, again, another move that only Oprah can do. Like,
let's go.
It's just everything about this. I'm just so excited about. Like, a cast of only director women. Like, on a network owned by a woman, a show ran by a woman. Like, it's just, if this does not make you feel like you can have power as a woman, like, I don't know what can. But let's just, we didn't even start talking about the review. We just talk about all the aesthetics of the show.
So, obviously, FYI, if you have not watched it, please go
Or if you haven't heard about it, or, you know, maybe, maybe you're more along the lines of power and you haven't heard about OWN, because Oprah does not play about her shit. Her shit is not leakable, and I don't see, you can't find an episode online. Like, she keeps her stuff under a lock and key. So, Joe, why don't you just tell us what the show's about, and then we can kind of go into the first episode.
So, once again, if you have not heard about it, the show comes on, its name is Queen Sugar. It comes on OWN. You want to check with your cable provider and see what channel that comes on. It comes on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And if you have not watched it and you plan on watching it, you may want to skip on to the end because we're about to go all the way in on episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So episode 1 is
don't even skip to the end. If you haven't watched it, pause.
True.
Make sure you should have subscribed to iTunes by now. So if you haven't watched it, just pause it, go catch up, come back and listen to the episode because you will enjoy it just that much more.
Very true. So, First Things First is the name of the first episode. Mm-hmm. So, in this season premiere, directed by Ava, I'm going to F up her last name, and I'm just going to call her Ava. Mm-hmm. Charlie, a suave wife with an upscale Los Angeles lifestyle, who manages her husband's professional basketball career, returns to her family home, an 800-acre sugarcane farm in the heart of Louisiana, after her father suffers a stroke and she receives alarming news about her husband. In Louisiana, she reunites with her estranged siblings, Nova, a worldly wise journalist and activist, and Ralph Angel, a formerly incarcerated young father in search of redemption. Together, they must navigate the triumphs and struggles of their complicated lives in order to run an alienated farm in the Deep South. I want to just jump into season 2. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just do the recap on the second episode because I feel like we're going to go both. Yep. We're going to be back and forth. So the second episode, because it was a 2-night premiere. Yep. The second episode is called Evergreen, and the Borderland sisters must work together to plan their father's funeral. Tensions rise between Charlie and Nova. However, as they each seek to honor their father in different ways, Ralph Angel also argues with Violet about whether it's appropriate to invite his young son Blue to the funeral service. So I just did both because if you're a listener, you know we're going to already tackle both so that we don't have to come back. I just want to say that the episode opens up where we see Nova in bed with this white guy who name is, I believe it's Calvin.
Oh, can I talk about that opening scene before we even dig into the... So remember right when I was telling you about last week when I was talking about how Ava directs, how she has a lot of close-ups and a lot of character developments. That opening scene is Ava's signature. It's slow music, it's low lighting, it's amazing, emotional, soulful sounds in the background. It just literally just draws you in. So that just... When it opened up, I was just Ava has arrived, ladies and gentlemen.
So we open up with her in bed with this white guy, Calvin. Mm-hmm. And that becomes a whole nother issue later on.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Just the intimacy between the two of them.
Yes, the dressing of the clothes, the kissing, the size, It was just, I was in my feelings in the first and the second. I was I need a man that can do that. Wake up with me, baby. Help me put my clothes on so I can start my day.
You felt the love and the connection between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. It was I don't know. It was amazing.
I don't know.
It was an undeniable chemistry between them and the love and the appreciation for each other.
It was. Something about that opening scene, it had me caught up to the fact where I didn't even know where the show was going. Yeah. I had no idea because I wasn't expecting it to open up like that because you seen the premieres. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe we would open up on a sugar cane field or with with the father. To have it be Nova and have that moment, it just took me to a different place. I really had to refocus my attention once it was over because I was sucked in the intimacy.
I think I like that. I think Nova is actually kind of like the main character, like the number one of the cast, because I see like we opened up with her for episode 1. We opened up with her in episode 2.
Okay, I was gonna say the same thing. Did you notice how on both episodes we both opened up with Nova?
Yep, with Nova.
But not only Nova, with Nova and Calvin.
Yes.
For different reasons, I believe, though. But
I think that's interesting. Like, I want to know, like, what is that about, and what? Yeah, I'm definitely. We keep saying, oh, we're gonna wait, but I really want to know what their relationship is and what's this.
Let's just go
conflict. Yeah, like, what is this conflict? Because by the end of the episode, we find out. Well, I don't even want to go in because it was like such a build up.
Okay, so let's build it up.
Yeah.
So we go from seeing Nova in bed with Calvin to being introduced to Ralph Angel and his son Blue, who stole my heart at the
my god. I just literally, like, we were watching episode 2, I was like, I just want to babysit Blue. Like, he's like the only child I just want to pick up and coddle. Like, he's the cutest baby.
Talk about coddle. That becomes a major issue too.
Oh, that line.
When we get to episode 2, that becomes a really major issue.
That was a really good line.
But I felt so. How did you feel about Ralph Angel telling Blue? Remember when we talked about discipline? So he's telling him, I taught you discipline. I want you to sit here, and that after 5 plays, you can have. I think he gave him like a snack, or something.
Churro, the little churros,
right? But then in that same token, while you have taught your son discipline, you go and you rob a store. Yeah. How did you feel about that?
And again, like, as we go throughout the episode, it just makes me like, this character is so conflicted on so many levels. Like, he wants to be, I think this is what we're seeing. He wants to be a certain type of man, but right now his situation is where he can't be the type of man he needs to be. So he's like, just making bad decisions because he wants to save face a little bit.
So you think he's struggling with his manhood?
Yes, I think he's, especially like his dad said, like a little bit later, like, you've been out of jail for 6 months. Right. So clearly it's like, he's like, he's just, I think the line where her mom said, you're wrestling with the world. You're wrestling with yourself and you're wrestling with the world. Like, and that opening scene, like, you can see that in him. Like, it was, it's like in this, in the middle of the playground. And even though it cuts to Blue, like, you can just see, like, he's sitting there, he's emotional. He probably was debating, okay, do I go in here and rob this store? Or do I just, try to figure out another way?
I think his character is very heavy.
Mm-hmm. I want to know more, though. I just need to know more.
It's so many different sides. And like you said, he is conflicting with a lot of things. Because I think he does want to be a great father. Mm-hmm. But he also wants to prove himself to his father.
Yes, yep.
And that scene when you were saying when he was having that discussion with his father and trying to give him that money, you can see the disappointment in his father's eyes. Mm-hmm. And
he knew that his dad was disappointed in him.
You could feel that tension where I love you, but I don't know where I went wrong with you.
What happened?
You disappointed me in so many ways.
Oh,
and I'm just not sure. Like, the one thing that hurts a child more than everything, because it's hurting me, is if somebody tells you they're disappointed in you. And to, like, see the look in his father, even though his father never said it.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you don't even have to have your parents say, I'm disappointed in you. You just know. Like, when your mother or your dad is looking at you in a way of that, I'm admiring you.
Yes.
I love you. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that you're my child. And you also know when your parent is looking at you like, who have I raised?
What happened?
Where
did I go wrong? And it's almost a conflict within the parent because, okay, I have 3 children.
Well, I got one that's doing amazing. And she did everything right.
Well, I had 2 that's doing really well.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And but the thing that I kind of want to know, and I wasn't unsure of, is what was the relationship between him and Nova, because we didn't really get that interaction between him and Nova. We were able to see him and Charlie. We were able to see him and Ralph Angel. We were able to see him and Blue. But we never got to see what that relationship was with Nova. So we don't know, essentially what their relationship was. Like, I do feel they had to have some type of closeness. I want to say they have to have some type of closeness, but I really want to kind of know what that relationship was like.
And I wonder, that's a great point, and I never thought about that, but I wonder if Ava left that open for exploration later
on, which is true. It could be, you know, she could be setting some breadcrumbs up for that.
And that's positive. I just lost it. I wanted to know about Blue, because this is going to be random. Blue and this doll.
No, I literally wrote that down. Like, I want to know this backstory between this doll, and why does he feel so attached to the doll? And it clearly is to the point to where, like, Ralph Angel's not trying to get... I'm glad nobody made this doll a big thing. Like, I haven't seen anything about it. I haven't, you know, heard any type of think pieces of why is this little boy carrying a doll. Like, I'm so glad that people didn't do that to the scene, because we know how the world goes. It can just be so easily turned into a scandal. But I really want to kind of know, like, what, like, it made me, especially by episode 2, like, it just made me so curious to know what is this backstory between him and his doll, because it's just like Ralph Angel, like, he talks to him about the doll. And he says, oh, he got to stay here. You know, like, he plays along. So it's like...
I wonder if either the doll is something that his mother gave him. Or maybe it's somebody else. And I don't know if maybe it's his grandmother. I feel like it's some... And I want to say it's his mother. Because of the fact that we've alluded to... And I think her name is Dara.
Dara
has an addiction problem.
And she clearly left him at some point.
Right. And so I'm thinking that maybe at one point this was the only thing that maybe she could afford. And it's something she gave him. And he's held on to that because she's no longer there. And so I think I don't know why her name is Kenya, but I have no idea. But
that's a random name for that.
Maybe that's why he's holding so much, because he wants that doll to go everywhere with him.
See, I was thinking that maybe that doll was like kind of like how I think one thing that you see, one thing about like television shows is you see how people be in relationships with people that kind of mirror themselves, even if they're mirroring their own image, even in the worst ways. So, like, just like when Ralph Angel, like, he was yelling at Dara later on in the episode about her leaving Blue, but he left Blue in a park to go rob a store.
Right.
So, it was just like, I felt like maybe that doll had something to do with, like, because he was like, with her leaving him, like, maybe she told him, like, oh, just make sure you keep Kenya with you, or, you know, Kenya's going to be your friend. And I have to go somewhere. You know, like, maybe that's what happened. Like, I just feel like, I do definitely feel like it's something to do with the mom, and maybe, like, her struggles with addiction.
And I also think it's a storyline that they definitely have to follow up on. But while we're talking about it, how did you feel about that conversation with Dara in the parking lot of the hospital? I felt like he went a little too hard on her. For somebody that's struggling with an addiction problem, I felt like he tried to tear her down more now that she's doing better for herself.
But but we don't know why Ralph Angel went to jail. Like, let's put that in perspective. Like, he could have went to jail because he had an addiction problem of his own. Right. And he just, like, when he said that line, like, every time I think I'm doing bad, I think about you, and you know how I picture you. Like, I really wonder, like, how, like, what happened? Like, did you see her get a train ran on her? Did you see her, like, almost, like, passed out, about to have an overdose? Like, what is this image? And like, she reacted to it as soon as he said that, like, don't say that. So it clearly must be something, you know, like, some type of bad shape. But I wonder if Ralph Angel dealt with addiction or something before.
So, and not even on the addiction part. I think what I'm trying to come across is, you're not really in a better situation than she is.
Exactly.
So for you to look down on her, I thought it was really harsh. Like, I thought he was trying to break her. But that wasn't right, because you're no better than she is at this point. The only saving grace that we can see so far is that your family stepped in and took care of Blue while you were gone. But what you said kind of shot something out, we don't know why he went to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be interesting if the reason why he went to jail has something to do with her. Mm-hmm. And maybe she's the cause. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think that she set that storyline up so well because we want to know so much more about them. And I think one thing that, because the way that she set up this episode is that she gave us glimpses into each character. Yes. Like, this is this person at this state, this is this person at this state, and then eventually we got to see everybody come together.
She left this open for everybody's storyline to be evolved into
whatever it was going to be.
Exactly.
But I feel like one thing that we know about Ralph Angel right now is that he may say something and he may act. Like, to me, he has a very, like, he wants to be his own person. Like, this is how I say it's supposed to be, and I don't care. Like, I'm just going to do that. So when the daddy was like, I want Blue to come to the hospital, and he like, no, Blue don't need to be at the hospital. But eventually, I don't know what changed his mind. Like, he backtracked and was like, okay, well, maybe he need to be at the hospital. Like, it just seemed like he's like, he has a very quick temper, and whatever he's going to say, he's going to say it. And then eventually he goes back and think about it and be like, oh, well.
But I think it goes back to what you're saying. He's battling.
Yeah, he's very conflicted. He's very conflicted.
Yeah. So, Nova.
Yep. I love Nova. First of all, let me just say, it is so weird seeing, Nova, what is her real name? I'm sorry. I just want to get the actress' real name. What is this? Rutin? What is her name?
Rutina Wesley?
Rutina Wesley. So she was also in True Blood, and she played Tara in True. Have you ever seen True Blood?
No.
Oh my God.
Outside of my comfort zone.
Anyway, she was in True Blood, and in True Blood, she was so angry and just like she was. And it was also setting in Louisiana. She was a barmaid. Her mom was an alcoholic, and like she just had so much anger. Like she would cuss out people. Like she would be at the store, and a white person says like, "What you looking at me, cracking motherfucker?" Like she was that was her. And so it's like now seeing her on this show and just being like, sister, my brother. It's just like, who is it? She's smiling. I'm like, it's so weird to see Tara happy. Like, she was never happy before. Like, she was the most angry person in the world. So I just love, like, just seeing her in a totally different element.
That's different.
I really, I swear, I'm going to show you, like, a clip of True Blood. You'll be like, what? Like, she was out there on True Blood. But it's just so good to just see her transform and just be so soft and just nurturing and calming and all that good stuff. Until, we see in season 2, episode 2 that, it can switch.
Nova has a lot of dynamics to her.
Very. She's another complex character.
And I'm still trying to figure out what she does. Now, I know she's a writer. Mm-hmm. We all know that she's a well-renowned author. However, I don't think she's into witchcraft. But what is it she's into?
I want to say maybe it's like a holistic healing or maybe some type of ritual healing, because remember when Dad was in the hospital and she was doing it and Hollywood was like, what is she doing? She's like, well, she learned it from her mama. And she knows what she's doing.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. Again, something else that we can learn about her later on. But I think it's like somewhere, I don't want to say like voodoo or not, but I just want to say it's like somewhere
I didn't think it was like voodoo. And then
even though, you know what, I've been learning that voodoo is not, sorry, another tangent. I'm learning like voodoo is not necessarily like this big, dangerous, like taboo religion or practice to have. Like it's actually a lot of West African cultures that's really their culture. So it's like, it's just like you never, like you make it seem like it's so taboo here in the States and everywhere else, but it really could be something beautiful. So maybe that could be something else Ava is going to start exploring and showing us. I just learned that like literally like a couple of days ago. So.
Okay. Shout out to the research.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you for the moment.
Yes.
So, and what I'm going to say is going to kind of throw us into episode 2. Not necessarily, but not even episode 2. I think it happened. We find out on the end of the episode how I think it was very ironic how we saw that Nova was writing a piece about police brutality. However, Calvin is a detective.
Yep.
So I
see everything, all of these conflicts, like all these contradictions. Like these characters, you feel this one way about police, but then you are in love with this detective.
So does that almost kind of throw into you can never choose who you fall in love with?
You can't. I don't think you can choose who you fall in love with.
And I think that's going to have a battle that she's going to have to deal with, because not only are you dating somebody that's in the police field when you're going through the racial injustice side of things, but this man is also married.
Let's
y'all
talk
been
about
having
it.
an affair for a couple.
It's obviously been a while. Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Which I thought, like, let me tell you what I really thought was happening right there. When she said, when he was like, why didn't you tell me that your dad had a stroke? And she was just like, well, that's my right. Like, I don't have to tell you. And I was just like, wait, so, like, is she, like, ashamed of being with a white guy? Like, that's where I thought we were going. Because she's so holistic and she's clearly so much about the power. And she may be, eventually may find out, like, she's, like, a face of, like, a Black Lives Matter movement or something like that. So maybe I thought that was going to be the conflict. Like, well, I don't want to be seen with a white guy because I'm pro-Black.
Yes, I thought it was a pro-Black thing.
So that's why I thought it was. I'm like, girl, you better get over that because that man loves you. But then we find out, no, he kind of has a family, like a full-blown little kid family. And he got little kids, and they've been together for a couple of years. Like, what is this about? Like, I just really want to know.
You know how I feel about my time frames. And I really need to know how long they've been having this affair. And I wonder if her dad knew, and maybe they might have had a strain on their relationship.
Ooh, I want to put that down. That's pretty good. Know.
That's a random.
That's good, though. Because remember, like, she said... Well, he said, you came to my dad's funeral. And she's like, well, that was different.
Right, because she's like,
yeah. So it's like, I just, it's just like, so all these little pieces are being thrown in there. I really would like to know that.
So let's talk about the cougar relationship.
Yep. I love it, though. Like, I just, first of all, like, every time we was seeing her for, like, the first, like, half of the episode, she just had this smile on her face. And what
so
you
happy.
Want, baby? You want some greens? And, like, I was just like, this is too cute.
So happy. So, I just want to say that I had a moment when Pops was working. I think he was like a janitor, and he came into that room, and they were having that funny conversation about Charlie.
Which is true. They pointed out a very valid point. How you get raped a couple of times.
Right. But, however, after the first time.
Yes. It was voluntary, yes.
I thought that guy was Hollywood.
Oh, really?
So, so this is my first episode. I thought that was Hollywood.
Uh-huh.
So, when we got to the end of the episode, and Aunt Vi found out that they hadn't had any crops,
you was like, don't
you
know you got a job? Like you was there. You knew you had a job.
So,
oh, no.
And then when I saw, like, the previews, I said, oh, well, maybe that's his secret.
Mm-hmm.
But when I watched it the second time, I realized that was...
No, it's not Hollywood. All black men does not look like.
No, they don't. But I really thought... I don't know.
Okay.
I thought he was. But I think that Hollywood is so in love with her.
Yes.
And I'm just loving all this black love.
It's so beautiful. It is so beautiful.
And I think it's showing like stages of black love.
But I think we also know that, by the time we got to episode 2, we see that even though they do have this good love for each other, and he does make her happy, like, clearly there's conflicts in their relationships.
True.
And eventually we gonna see, like, it takes a lot to get, to get there, or they may have big issues that they're hiding. So I'm interested to see where their relationship goes. But I just love how he was there for her, how he comforted her.
How he's taking care of her.
How he's taking care of her, how he told her don't worry about working,
exactly.
How, when the dead friend came, like, when he asked how he was doing, like, he stepped up and said it for her, so she didn't have to say it. Like, it's the little things, but they're big things in the grand scheme of things. If that made any sense. There's a lot of things going on.
Charlie.
All right. So, let me just say, when I was watching this the first time with my mom, and they were in the cafe, Mom was like, I'm lost. I'm like, first of all, Ma, we all lost. Just be quiet and let's watch the TV show. Like,
she was ready to talk about this.
Yeah, she was ready to talk. Like, sometimes you can't watch stuff with your parents. They want to talk while the show going on. Like, let's just recap after, and then we can talk about, because obviously we're going to find out what's going on by the end of the episode. But Mom just threw me off. Like, this messed up that whole scene for me. But do you think that whole reality show thing is going to come back around later, or do you think that's dead?
I think that's dead. I think it was just kind of like a moment so she could see them all together. Mm-hmm. And you could see the reaction on how heartfelt she felt when she realized her husband was not involved. Mm-hmm. It was just like, whew.
Yeah.
Okay. Because y'all kind of ratchet.
Yeah.
Because when she was talking about it. And
I didn't. Yeah. How did you feel about how she was talking about? Like, she was really. I'm gonna be honest.
Go.
She really rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I get that, you know, her husband is like clearly the face of a franchise and all this stuff, but it was just like, it's still a woman at the end of the day, and to me, why wasn't it weird that it was the whole starting lineup but your husband? Like, what sense does that make? You know, like, to me, that would have been like a red flag. Like, so you was just gone. Like, I don't know. Like, that just, to me, that was just weird.
What was missing for me was you never questioned your husband.
Ever. Not one time did you even think to be like, so.
You just
immediately
it was almost kind of like
reaction.
She was just like so relieved, like, oh, it's not my man. Like, my man,
he could never do that. Yeah,
he could never do that. It's one of those things where you never thought it would be you.
Yep.
Until it's you.
Until the show.
Even though, I mean, she packaged it. She was thinking, because she's almost really good at PR. Mm-hmm. She was strategizing. Even though she was glad it was her man, she was like, hey, it's not my man, but we're going to make sure he stays safe for his team. And keep the other wives.
Like, and like when she was sitting there and, you know, right before the game, and she's watching the ESPN
and she was
package, and she just smiling like, I did that. Like, for me, it just turned me off, because I'm like, regardless of the fact that, you know, your man wasn't involved and you got in front of this and, you know, you call yourself handling the situation, like, it's still a woman out here saying that she's been raped by people that your husband and you as well know very closely. Like, why are you still shouldn't be so happy about it? Like, I don't know. Like, to me, that just rubbed me the wrong way. But it could also go to show, like, that's just how she felt her life was. Like, I'm literally living in a fairy tale. And I thought it was really funny that it was kind of like some foreshadowing going on in the episode where he said, ain't life good? Let's just let it be good. That was what Davis said to her right before she, you know, went off and drove and met the basketball wives at the restaurant. Like, I just thought that was like a big foreshadowing. Like, that. Like, oh, we good. Like, everything's perfect. Just let it be perfect. And it's just like, no, nigga, you still doing shit.
What I caught, though, first of all, a couple of things. So, I just want to say, do you see how fast technology works?
Yeah. I mean, but that's the way. Okay, I'm not gonna say, like, I thought it was a little much to make it seem like everybody got alerts on their phone.
Okay,
I don't have alerts on my phone. Like,
everybody has alerts about certain
stuff. Like, there's no
way.
Like, but I get that. I guess what they were just trying to show is just how, you know, how fast information can spread. Like, minus the alerts, like, stuff does happen that fast. Like, because you can be sitting in I think about, like, Whitney Houston death. Like, she died, and she died at, like, 4 or 5 that day, and by 6 or 7 o'clock, everybody in the world knew, because I was sitting in Fridays like, what? Whitney Houston dead?
That's always
R.I.P. Whitney. But I'm just saying, but that's just how fast bad. I didn't even have to go to Whitney. Beyonce and Jay-Z, like the elevator leak, like everybody knew.
I just want to know why you didn't have the conversation with your husband when he came home that night. And y'all talking about
playoffs.
Y'all talking about playoffs. He talking about, I need another ring before I can retire. Let's move.
I gotta have 5. What? First of all, what is this plan that he keeps talking about?
Y'all didn't have a conversation about this at all?
Like, where were you at that night? Why didn't y'all didn't have curfew? Like, did you see them with the girls? Like, my thing is, why was there no type of follow-up? Like, why did you feel so comfortable to just go on national television and make this big public statement of how you stand by your man, and you ain't asked not one question?
You didn't ask not one question.
And, like, when he was looking so down, like, she just kept, you know, like, she was comforting him, but I'm like, why wouldn't you ask him, like, so are you like, why you, what's this? Like, you seem like you got a lot going on. Like, is it really just about the basketball? Like, you know, like, why aren't you having that type of conversation?
And then the other thing is, maybe they have built up so much trust
that it's fine. Yeah.
She really was okay, he didn't get caught. They didn't say anything. He hasn't told me anything. We have this open relationship. We talk, not open as in open.
Yeah, but we have open communication. Yep.
Right. We talk about everything. I'm good. And then everything blew up in her face. But what I kind of like thought about was right before they went out, when she was watching TV, the news had portrayed them as there was still, they said, it shows you that there's still grace and class in the world.
And then, but then, yes. So, yes.
She had to, when she saw everything that happened, and she snapped on his ass.
Yep.
Now she crazy.
Yep. I just thought, I was like, okay.
That's interesting how the world
it's funny, like, but that is how the world is. Like, you will look at yours, I mean, they do it to anybody.
They do it
like,
to everybody.
1 minute, any and everybody. Like, 1 minute you are the world's greatest couple, they're so cute. And then you get in a fight in the elevator and you got a baby with Rachel Roy and they have domestic abuse.
It just goes
Solange always be fighting on elevators.
Because
I'm just saying, like, that's how niggas do. Like, that's how people do. And then fast forward a year and a half later and Solange is a genius. She's such a sweet, open spirit.
It never happened.
She's so beautiful. She's so bad. And it never happened. Like, that is just how, like, fickly, like, we are as a society. And that's ridiculous. But just talking about that real quick, like I just was like, so that scene showed me that we don't really know Charlie. Because, like, she was supposed to be, like, just like that package said, I'm thinking that she's just controlled.
Yes.
She, she's put together and all this stuff. But to see her, like, lose it like that and to walk, like, literally out on the basketball thing, like, she couldn't even wait.
She told him, bitch, you got me fucked.
Yes. Like, she literally snapped. So I was talking to my mom about it. I'm like, bro, that's just, I don't know. Like, that just seemed like a little bit much. Like, you really just gonna walk out on the basketball? Like, can that really happen? And my mom was like, well, if that's your husband and that, she was like, no, you don't know what a woman would do, like, with information like that. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I can't say that
was too much, because I feel like anybody in that situation, because I also feel like she felt embarrassed.
Yeah.
She was probably embarrassed.
Like, you just had me on national television,
not
standing
only
by your side.
What you said earlier, what the fuck did you do to her?
Exactly.
Because not only did you just go in a room, nigga, you picked her up.
You picked her up. You were literally the one, clearly the instigator of everything. And you put her in there.
And by only put her in that room and you left right back out.
Come on now.
Wait, hold on, just let me run with it. You still
put her in that room.
Mm-hmm. I think I lost it.
I messed you up. I'm sorry.
Did.
But so your idea is that maybe they saw the girl, she was a groupie or whatever. He put her in there, maybe picked her up to be just playing around and maybe just said, hey guys, y'all can have it and I'm just gonna go ahead and call it a night.
No, I wasn't talking about that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but that could have possibly been what happened, because he's like, because he did keep saying that
I'm innocent.
I didn't do anything, and he possibly could have been. We don't know yet.
Don't look good.
But I think for her, like, we just never know what something like that would bring out of a person.
That's
so
true.
I wouldn't say that it was over.
Yeah.
It was over dramatized.
Mm-hmm. Dramatized. I just felt bad for her by the end of the episode.
I also felt bad that... Okay, because I'm about to jump ahead, so go.
No, I was just going to say, like, we didn't even talk about, like, the whole Pops having a stroke. Like, I wonder if
that's why I was going to jump ahead.
I just wonder if that's eventually going to, like, bother Blue a little bit, because if you think about it, all this stuff happened at his birth. Like, it started at his birthday party.
Yeah.
And it was one of his friends had to find his dad. And, like, and first of all, that scene of when he was, like, trying to run to the ambulance, like, I think that's what started me crying. Because I was like, woo, baby. Like, oh, that little boy. Like, and whoever that little actor is, like, that baby can act. Like, I really thought that his granddad, like, when I tell you I felt everything about that, like, I was just so in that moment. I was so in the moment.
The tears just started rolling right there.
Yeah.
And they just didn't stop.
Yeah.
That's how heavy that episode got. Because we go from saying Charlie and this craziness to literally her father on his deathbed.
Mm-hmm.
And her not being able, her not there or not even knowing. Because she's off
So
in this
wrapped
other
up.
space.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because she done lost her husband.
Yep. And she don't even know
her dad. And I think it's going to mess her up later on because she was supposed to go and
there.
see him.
And he had already asked her, like, can you please, like, come.
It had been a request, and she just hadn't made it.
I wonder, like, how long ago did he tell her? Because we find out in the episode that he hasn't been planning for the last 2 years. So I wonder at what point did he get the pride and, like, swallowed his pride and was like, let me go ahead and see if she can kind of help me out of this situation. So I think that's another thing that's going to come back up. I really thought, like, in episode 2, she was going to say something when she went to go see that guy. Like,
Remy.
Yeah, like, hey, yeah, my dad did tell me to come out here, like, a year ago. Like, I don't know. Like, I really thought that was the time frame was going to happen for us.
So, Pops.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
First of
all, I just feel so bad about losing him, period, as an actor. Like, why episode 1? He just added, like, just his interactions with Ralph Angel. Like, I just loved them.
I think the most powerful moment of that whole episode was having him, his son, and his grandbaby in that bed.
Yeah.
And I felt like that last look that he gave his son before his son laid
on his head.
I think he was telling him, like,
I'm sorry, thank you.
I love you.
Yep. I think he was saying thank you and I love you.
And I love you. Because he was attached to Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Because how when I wake up, that's the only thing
he wanted where is my baby? Where is the baby at? And it's not like it's his only grandbaby.
Why am I crying?
I know, you just keep crying.
I keep crying. It was so heavy.
Just keep crying. But I think the first time I watched it, I told you, like, I just couldn't even, like, the next episode was recording, but I could not, like, I couldn't go to it because it was just too much. And I think one thing about the beauty and the power and everything that Ava depicted with this last scene is just because it's so real. Like, I think, and I'm so glad that I was able to watch it with my mom because I experienced that same, like, literally that exact same thing. Not the exact same thing, but because it was a grandma and all that stuff, but the exact same kind of scenario with my grandma, like when she was on her deathbed and like she didn't request anybody, but when all of us found out like Granny may die, like my grandmother really wanted to see all 13 of her grandkids. And that Friday morning, my cousin Little Tony, he was down in surprisingly North Carolina. And he had just got in town that Friday morning. And, she was kind of like her labor and breathing, all that stuff. And she, like, opened her eyes, smiled at him, and closed her eyes. And she didn't wake up, anymore after that. And she ended up dying that afternoon. Yeah. So it was just like she wanted to kind of, like, see and touch eyes on all of her grandkids. And then be like, okay, now I can go. So that was just... It was just sensory overload for me. Like, I'm like, this is way too much. It's way too close to home. It's just, ugh.
But it was crazy. Home, like, it got so much worse after that because in the next scene, you see Charlie running in and she didn't make it.
That episode,
I was like,
that moment, so the second watch, that made me cry again. I think because you can just see in her face, like, what have I done? She did. Like, that's why. She was like, "What have I done?" And that's when she was running. She was just like, "No, like I just needed more time." Like, so I think another reason, and that's going into episode 2. Like, that's another thing, another barrier that's going to stand in the way of her and Davis, even if he is innocent. She's always going to probably look at him and be like, you're the reason why I wasn't there for my dad because I was so caught up in your bullshit.
But I don't think that she could honestly put that on Davis. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say that, true enough, at the point where at the last days of his life, she was going through something, her father had asked her previously.
That's true,
and we have no idea what stopped her from going
that's what I was saying. But I'm saying that's just going to be an aid. You know, we do things as people that we don't want, and when we don't want to face something ourselves, we're going to find somebody to blame it on.
True.
So it's going to be easier for her to say, you are the reason why I wasn't there for my daddy, than for her to say, I chose you over my daddy.
Oh, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
That's deep. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, obviously, I'm crying. So, I need to get my life.
I think we did all of episode 1, though. I think that was we did a lot.
One was happy and one was literally 60 minutes.
Yeah, it was
no commercials.
Time. And it was no commercials, so it really just like kind of just healed you on an emotional roller coaster the whole time.
I feel like I was watching the Best Man Wedding. I mean, holiday.
That whole movie was crying. Lord, that movie was crazy.
So once again, episode 2, we open up with Nova and Calvin, and she's planning, and he's trying to get the deets to the.
Oh wait, it was one thing I want to talk about before we leave episode 1.
Go.
That scene when the other drug dealer came and kind of was, and it may be just small, but he came and picked up the drugs, and like you see how Nova's side of the street was like, oh nice, and you like, oh, she living like this cool little countryside home, and then as he's getting in the car, in this beautifully shot scene, you see an abandoned house. Broken windows, no doors, like.
So what are you symbolizing that with?
I think that's just the reality of how this country is. Like, especially in these black neighborhoods. You can have a beautiful house on one side of the street, and then the next 3 houses, either down or across, is burnt out or messed up. So I just thought that scene just deserved something, because I was just like, it was so small, it was so subtle, but it really like stood out to me, and I'm like, you see this guy come from this nice house with a picket fence and some gardens and everything, to now we see that beautiful Charger in front, and then the messed up house in the back. Like, I just thought that was like, when I just thought it was powerful a little bit, because I'm like,
I wonder if maybe it has something to do with, since this is shot in Louisiana, it's something to do with Katrina, and how some people were not able to pick up the pieces and rebuild and keep up their land, and so it might be a constant reminder, and that might go towards her like racial injustice, how much farther we still have to go. And how much we lost.
See, I forgot about that. Yeah. That was so good. Yeah.
Well, I didn't pick up this. I mean, I saw it, but I didn't pick up this until you said something.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder what Ava would have to say about that, because I'm sure it's something.
It's the reason why it was shot that way. It's the reason why
it was shot like that.
Yep. All right, we're in episode 2.
So episode 2 was not as heavy, but it was heavy.
Yes.
Because we just got to see some other sides and
further get into these character lives.
One person we didn't talk about in the first episode was the teacher.
I think that's definitely
her name, but I think there's a lot more to come with her and Ralph Angel.
Of course, like I can definitely see, I can sniff a relationship a mile away from.
Because I could sniff the attachment that Blue is having towards her.
Yes. And even her to him, like she, like attached. she pick up on him, like, hey, well, why you looking so down, Blue? Like, so it clearly is a mutual thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we already kind of talked about Nova and Calvin and how the garden scene, and after this, we found out that they're having an affair, pretty much. Let's talk about the planning of the funeral.
Again, another thing, funerals bring out the worst in people.
Whew, honey, it brings out a lot. It brings out emotions, stuff you didn't even know was there. I think we see that between Charlie and Nova a little later on.
Yes.
But I think we found out that not Nova. Charlie has a different mother.
Which I think I want to know what that's about. Like,
so that'll be interesting.
Because remember, Vi said, like, your daddy loved that boat. No, your dad probably loved that boat just as much as he loved your mama. So it's like, another thing I want to know is, like, how is this lined up? Like, who's the oldest? Who's the youngest? Because
that'll be interesting.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm wondering if, like, maybe did he... Because I just want to know what's the deal with the mama. Baby. Yeah, that's what I'm like, is she the affair baby? And then the other thing was, it was just like, I kind of did feel like I get that they're not used to Charlie being around. The shit out of her. But they definitely isolated her. And that was fucked up a little bit.
I think that was really wrong of them. And you could feel how isolated she felt when she just sat down. She kind of felt defeated. And I think that's why she went ahead and got the damn table.
Like she was trying to do something.
Shit, I'm trying to contribute something. Y'all don't let me in somewhere.
Yep. But we can see that this family is pride. They very much about their morals. Like, you know, like they're going to stand their ground. Like everybody is so strong when it comes to stuff like that.
I also think that the three of them do have a special bond.
Yes.
And we see that when they pick out that casket.
Yes.
Because that scene right there.
That was crazy. Because she was like, I'm going to put this satin thing in my daddy.
He was like, oh no, we don't do that.
And Reverend Angel said she going to put it in there. And what if I just walked up and said,
I
dare you to say something.
And she went like, and you can see kind of like that.
You see how she held it as she was cutting in, and so I felt like, and that's why I think when they were in the car, or even it wasn't even in the car. It was a funeral when Nova finally reached over to her. And was just like, we got to be together. Like, we have to get through this together.
That's that bond that you see. I think that was a powerful shot too.
It was, oh my God, in front of that beautiful
funeral.
white casket, which now I'm like, if I have to go, I think I want a white casket.
Oh,
that was beautiful. Like, it was just beautiful.
White casket? You want a white casket?
It was pretty. Just like that. Everybody wear white at the funeral as well.
I want a black casket.
Absolutely no black.
I want a black one.
Okay, this is kind of weird.
Sorry,
I don't want to talk about caskets. I just said it look good.
I mean, I'm just saying, black is so clean, but
oh gosh. But speaking of that scene, before we get there, I really want to know what was in that, or what was the significance of her putting that pouch in it. Like, I wonder if it has something to do with like maybe protecting his spirit,
maybe
or
something like
that. Like,
I would say maybe something West African.
Yep. Like, I really would love to know like what that was about, but I'm sure we probably not gonna know.
Definitely, but when we talk about their bond, though, you can also see that when Nova goes to her editor's office.
Yeah, and
her editor's trying to get Charlie
to be a paparazzi person, pretty much.
Like, you get your information the same way every motherfucking else do. Like,
don't be trying to use it. And then, first of all, how would you even? But that just goes to show how jobs do. Because it's like, first of all, how you gonna tell me I'm sorry about your daddy? And then, in the same breath, ask me to talk about my sister and her husband at my daddy's funeral.
Have you lost it? That's what she said. She says, I have to bury my father. I don't got time for your bullshit.
I don't have time for this. What are you talking about right now, sir?
What do I look like putting my sister on blast? Now, we might not have the best relationship.
Right, but I'm not about to do that.
I'm not about to get
and she like to put all my family business out there. Are you crazy?
Them white motherfuckers, they just sometimes they be on a different.
Whoa, in the same breath. Peace and blessings to my daddy. Then I couldn't believe that.
I was really taken back by that. I don't know. I wonder if that'll come up later on and how that goes. Mm-hmm. But
do you think that? I didn't get this feeling. I didn't even think that, but I'm wondering, I just want to throw it out there. Do you think her asking her when they were in the car, you know, how are you holding up? Was that her way to kind of see where her sister was headed with the whole date? You don't think that was her second guessing, like, oh, maybe.
I don't.
I didn't get that vibe, though. But
I think she literally cared.
Yeah.
Because I think they genuinely care about each other. Mm-hmm. They just have not been they don't live in the same city.
Mm-hmm. They probably lost touch. They probably
even got into it at one point.
Yep.
But it shows that bond. And it's not just in this relationship, but in everyday human. Like, you have, two brothers and a sister. Mm-hmm. Y'all may not talk every day, but goddamn it, if something happened,
I want to know what's going on. Like, are you
will
okay?
Be there.
Yeah.
So it's that protection thing, and I think she honestly,
I kind of feel like Nova's the oldest.
Care. I think she is the oldest. Mm-hmm. I would say she is the oldest. I think Charlie's gonna be the
middle baby.
I think she's a fair baby.
Angel is definitely
and Ralph Angel
the baby.
The child.
Yep.
Yeah, because he has a lot of growing to do.
Yeah.
Even though his character is so complicated, he has a lot of growing to do.
I agree.
So how did you feel about the scene when Charlie went by Pop's house and that man came?
Yeah, like...
But she checked him on that shit, though. She
definitely did. She's like, no, you just thought nobody was at home.
And he kind of looked at her like...
Because he had his people out there taking pictures, doing some measurements. Like, homie, My daddy is not even in the ground yet.
Help you.
Like, he thought it was just gonna be like, hey girl, and just keep going. She's like, no, excuse me. Can I help you? Why are you here? This is private property.
Because, I mean, he tried to play it off like, I just thought I would make an offer in person.
Right.
No, you just don't
You
want
get your people.
Here.
That's right. Get your people and go on.
But I also think that's interesting because when she goes to talk to Remy, and I'm